Yeah. Well, so moving on to the industry, I guess the question would be, what industry trends have you noticed and been able to capitalize on with regard to uh, the past, let's say, half a decade?
I think I think people are asking us to integrate more and more technologies into our system. One customer said to us, "We really like the idea of a prime contractor because it means that there's only one throat to choke." Um,
Yeah.
you know, when I was introducing the company before, when you think about all the technologies that I talked about in those stories, there's quite a
Mm.
few technologies. They all have to talk nicely to our system. We need to talk nicely to those technologies, and we need
Yeah.
to gather all that information and bring it back. And so there's been quite a lot of convergence in our industry.
Hmm.
Also, you know, increasingly our customers are moving away from mobile radio as their main communications technology of choice,
Yeah.
because cellular technology coverage has got better and better.
Hmm.
Bandwidth has got better and better, and so that's meant that there's been a general move away from the older conventional mobile radio and
Yeah.
moving into cellular technologies, and that's meant a whole new generation of technology for us as well.
Yeah.
The other thing is that everybody expects the kind of information we provide to be available anytime, anywhere, any place. And so that's become almost so commonplace. It's just an expectation. You know,
Hmm.
it's like expecting drinking water when you go to a first world town. You know, it's got to be there. And
Yeah.
so those towns and cities that don't have it,
Hmm.
you know, they're the late adopters, if you like. And so this whole area has become much more mainstream. There's an expectation in the Western world that this kind of information is going to be available now, and so that's a big trend.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think,
I completely agree with that point that when I go and take a bus home, I expect there to be perfect timing on when the bus will arrive, perfect timing on what kind of, if I open my Google Maps, perfect timing on what the traffic looks like. So the expectations of technology are absolutely much more different, and I can get that. You don't necessarily see any success, but you only see failures. So if the bus arrives at a different time to when it says over there, I'm going to be mad at the service or the company that did it, but I'm not going to applaud them when it arrives on time. So I guess
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely, yep,
Yeah,
yep, that's
that is
true.
yeah. So that is a challenge. So how would you differentiate yourself from competition in a market like that?
Well, actually, what you just talked about in terms of reliability and how to attract your attention is
Mhm.
is um, is a good segue into this conversation. Really, I had a
Mhm.
conversation with a Minister of Transport for New Zealand, and I said, of the three largest cities in New Zealand, Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch, what have you heard about the kinds of technologies, the intelligent transit system technologies that we provide? What have you heard about them for all three cities? Have you heard about Auckland and Wellington and Christchurch? She said, well, I've only heard stuff about Auckland and Wellington. I said,
Hmm.
oh, how's that? Um, I said, good things or bad things? She said, bad things. I said, what have you heard about Christchurch? She said, nothing. I said, what's the definition of a successful infrastructure project? She said, like any good politician, you tell me. I said, the one you never hear about because
Yeah.
this works.
Yeah.
She turned around and said, in that case, you've got a marketing problem. And I said, good point. So, and that's a good segue for later on too, when we're talking
Yeah.
about our plans for the future.
Hmm.
But how we differentiate ourselves is through that reliability, through the
Hmm.
fact that you don't hear about us because it works, you know.
Yeah.
And a lot of our competitors are so focused on new client acquisition that they
Hmm.
leave behind a trail of unhappy customers behind them.
Hmm.
We've had people come and say to us, look, Tony, when we purchased our previous system, we got the distinct feeling after 5 years that They brought their A team to the sales and marketing side of things, but when it came to implementation and after sales support, B or C team at best. You know, I said, man, that's telling. And then end of last year, a chief operating officer that was retiring at the end of last year rang me and he said, Tony, I'm hanging up my clogs. I said, oh, yep. He said, you know, several years ago when we were looking for another system, our previous vendor gave us such a bad experience that I said to myself, look, I'm not looking for a vendor, I'm looking for a partner. And now, several years later, you know, I'm glad to say that we found our partner. And when my successor chief operating officer joins us, I hope he sees the value of what you do, and that this partnership carries on for many, many more years. We have our customers buy our systems, and this is right across the industry, in 5-year cycles. Right. If you provide a good experience, they'll extend it for another 5 easily, right? We've had customers going up to 20 years.